Hello everybody. In this week's video, we will learn together how to scrape using Beautiful Soup. And for this purpose, we will use this website that you see here in front of you. It's called books2scrape.com. As you can see, they state over here, we love being scraped. This is a website that was designed for scraping, so it's a great resource for you to practice your scraping skills. Since it has been designed for this, you don't have to worry about whether you have the rights to do it and so on. But before we start, let's just recap on how internet pages work. So for those of you who maybe don't remember, or for some of you who never really gave it that much of a thought, a lot of these websites, like the one you see in front of you, but also others like YouTube, Wikipedia, they're all made of a combination of HTML and CSS, essentially. So as you have this HTML website, you can see the source by clicking View Page Source. And over here, now this looks a little bit complex here, and it's a little bit maybe overwhelming in the beginning. But we'll work with relatively simpler concepts in a minute. The good part about this is that you can also specifically look for certain parts in the page. So if I go back to the website and let's see if I want to view a particular part of the page, then I can press inspect. And then you can see I can hover over different pages and then I can see exactly the code behind that. So this is a very, very useful tool when you want to see exactly where you are in the tree and so on. I urge all of you, if you don't really know how an HTML page is built up, to look that over online. There are many, many videos where you can find that out. There's no time really to go over all of that information in one lecture. But now let's see how we do this. So we have this website. Now let's open up your preferred editors for coding and let's start coding. So hopefully this will be fun. We'll start really simple and then we're gonna get a little bit more complex by each task, sorry. I'll be using a Jupyter notebook through Google Colab, as you can see. And what's nice about this, among other things, is that you can generate code nowadays from text in Colab using Gemini. And obviously, I don't necessarily recommend it for you to ask it to do your homework, but it can be a great help. The most important thing is that you know what you want to do. So if you know what you want to do, then you can create your steps. You can create a pipeline. You can play with different things. So this is what's great about Gemini. So first of all, we have to load all the necessary libraries. So let's start by documenting what we're doing. So I'll be writing here, I am afraid I am not using, oh yes, I am using the right language. Yeah, sorry for that. Um, install libraries if necessary. Now I have all and then load them. I have all the libraries installed, but I'm just going to still write them for the sake of being complete here. So we have to use two libraries. One of them is requests and the other one is Beautiful Soup, and we will need other libraries later on as well, but let's first deal with these two ones. So you can install this using pip install. And requirements. Okay, first I want to install Beautiful Soup. a beautiful soup for, and then it also recommends the install requests, which I want to do as well. So this is just the beginning. I already have them installed, so it will probably say that the requirements are already satisfied, just as it did. And then we will go further after we install both of this and import them. Now we're gonna need to import requests, and from BS4 import beautiful soup as BS. So as you can see, Gemini is really helping us today, and I am expecting it to help in the future as well. So then we have this important. So now let's see what we can do with the request library. So now I'm gonna create another text part in which we're loading the page. So that's our next step. For loading the page, we have to use this requests library. So for that, we will do this. So, load page content, and then R equals requests dot get and then what we want to have there is this first page of the website. So this one. So then we'll have this. So we're not going to import it immediately as a beautiful soup object, so I don't want to do that. I just want to stay here, and then there's these different things that we can check here. For instance, we can check the status of the request. So to do that, we can write request status code. So if it's 200, then it means it's success. So the page being requested is successfully loaded, and if not, then we will, if it's 404, then we are going to print that it's not found. So this is page loading. And then there are other things that we can check here. We can check the address of being requested. So in order to do that, we can print, for instance, r.url. That's one thing. And then if we want to get info about the server that's not related to the content, we can also print r.headers. So now if we run this, yes, because that's not how it should be. So now it should work fine. All right, so this was a success. This is the website that we requested, and these are the headers. So then let's start scraping now. In order to do that, we will create a beautiful soup object. So we will create now a soup object. So this is what it was recommended for us earlier. And then what I'm going to use here is this instead, and then I'm going to use this HTML parsers. There are different parsers that you can use here. And if you look in the documentation, then you can also see which parser would be best to use. I like to use this because it's a little bit faster and it works better than for me than the other ones. But you can find them in the documentation. This here is the documentation. So if you go through it, it's actually quite a comprehensive documentation, and it's not very long. So this is what I was saying before about the disadvantages and the advantages of each parser library. Actually, yeah, this LXML is a little bit faster, but the problem with this is that sometimes you might run into some issues because of external dependencies. So I would like to go with this HTML parser for now. But of course, you can try yourselves all these parsers and then try different things and see how they work. But for now, so we loaded this object and now let's print it. I don't want to use prettify just yet. So let's just print without prettify. So that would be print soup. It's really insisting on us. So no, I don't want this. So soup, and that's it. Yeah, great. And here's how the HTML looks like. So this is unfortunately not that readable. So this is why we can use this Prettify library that was suggested already multiple times now by Gemini. And what this does is that it makes the HTML more readable, and it helps for you to see the indentation, how some elements are nested into each other, and so on. So if I comment this now, and then I will go to print, and now soup, and now it doesn't want to recommend it anymore. So if we use Prettify now, then sorry for that, it should work out. And as you can see, this is a lot more readable, and you can also see the indentations, you can see the classes more clearly, and so on. But remember, you can also just check here all the time, not in this part, but maybe here if you want to check a specific part, you can go and inspect that, and it's quite easy to look at it. But sometimes it's good to have it here. So this is a very good function to remember for that matter. So now let's start scraping. For that, I would like to start with a few functions that are really useful, because before we get really into the beef of it, starting to scrape. All right. I don't want that. And then we need another cell of code for that reason. So let's look at two functions. They're find and find all. And what these functions do is that the first one looks for the first occurrence of a tag in the HTML file, and then find all. The second one looks for all the occurrences at that specific tag in the file. So let's say that we're looking for an H3 header that I noticed that's already in that HTML. So now if we go here, so let's look for an H3. Yeah. So I would rather like to look in the whole source of the file, not only there, H3. It's not working out. Let's do a fetch source and H3. So this is what find should return. And then if we limit find all to 1, then it should return the same thing. You can read more about it here. I will link this somewhere in the bottom of the video, so you can go there and check everything out. But if we go back to coding now, so let's get the first header. So that would be first header would be something like soup.find yes in H3 because I checked on H1 and there was none there. So we're going to choose this and then we're going to print it. Right, and then print first header. Thank you, Gemini. So this is it. This is the first header. It's exactly what we were looking at earlier on. And now if we want to get all headers, then we can use headers equals soup, find all H3 and then print headers. And then what it will do is that it will parse through the whole document and then print all the headers. So this is from the first call from this one, and here you can see the list with all the headers that had that specific H3 tag. So this is something that's really good to know and to remember. And another cool thing that you can do here actually is that you can, well, not just yet. I'm saying not just yet to Gemini. It's a step ahead of me. Another cool thing you can do is that you can search for a list of elements rather than just one. So let's see what headers, what other headers we have here. So I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying, if there was an H1 header here, not here, sorry. H1. Oh, there is an H1 header. Okay, so which one? There's no H2 header. All right, so we have H1 and H3 headers. So let's try to look for these together. And this would go something like, so search for a list of elements and then would work out, oh yeah, well, this is exactly what I would like to do, except that I would like to call this headers together, and then I will call these headers together, and we have here H1 and H3 rather than what was recommended there. I'm not sure if there are even. Probably there should be a paragraph somewhere, but it doesn't matter. So we're doing this now. This, if we print this together, then we will get all these together printed out. So this is really nice. I'm gonna comment this so that it's a little bit more obvious what this does. Yeah, so here you have the right list. And of course, the same can apply for find all. So you have headers, list, sub find all. Oh, actually, yeah, did that. I wanted to do, well, that makes sense because if I did here actually just find, it would be only one. Now I understand why it looked odd before. So yeah, but if I print them together, then it prints all of them. So not just the first occurrence of it. So this would be headers list, headers list, sub find all H1 of H3, and yeah. And if we print this out, then we get what we were getting before. So this is a really interesting thing to have, because a lot of the time you need this. And remember that there are other functions here that you could use, actually, not only find and find all, but if you go and check here, if you search for find, then you would find all the others. So there is find sibling, find parent, and so on. So yeah, find parents, next sibling, previous sibling, all next, and so on. So look at all of these, and depending on what you're trying to solve, then you can use all of those. So now we're going to talk about another interesting thing. So another cool thing I think that you can do is that you can find this, you can nest this find and find all calls. So if we look at this document, right, we have it here. It has a head and a body. So let's say that we want to only get the body. For that, we will do something like so nested calls find all. So for that, we will have something like body is soup, find body, and then what? Let's take it one by one. Then let's print the body. So this prints essentially, so this is what we're trying to print. This essentially prints now the whole body. Maybe this is not really that interesting in this specific case, you might think. The reason for that being that actually the header is not that big here. So you can see the body already starts over here. So the majority of this document is actually the body. But when we're talking about documents that are a lot bigger than this, remember this is just a resource for training, more or less. It's actually quite a small website. It has 50 pages altogether. So it's not huge. Then in other cases, it might be like really important to be able to partition the big website into multiple, and then just search into that particular part, because it makes everything a lot faster. So here we have the body, and then if in this body we want to find first div, then we can just access it by div is body find div. So it will only look in this class of text. And this is it. That's the first div. And this div actually has a small, right? So if we're trying to get the small header, then we're going to look for it. Oh, sorry, not head, small. And then let's print it here as well. And this is it. We have it over here. So this is a really good thing to remember, because it might save you some time in the future. So now if you want, for instance, to search for a specific string within an element with find or find all. So search for a specific string within an element using find all, then you can use this regex library. So you have to import it like that. And the way to go about this is that you pass it on like this. So for instance, if you want to look for the word the definite article the in all the H3 headers, you would write something like headers equals soup find all H3 and then but not books, because this is not what I was trying to do, but and then you print it out. Let's comment everything else, because why not work out that well, in the sense that I don't want to see everything at once. I just want to see this. So these are all of them. But the cool thing about this is that first of all, if you tried to replace this whole thing with just D, it will not really find it, because it only, if you do this, for instance, this is not going to work out. So if you just print that out, it's going to give you an empty list, because if you are calling it like this, it will expect that the text is just D. So this is why I need to use regex here. But another cool thing that you can do is that you can actually write almost the same, and you can search for both capitalized, so capital T and regular T, or lowercase t, not regular T, and then it will find all of them. So we will print those and check out if that's the case. So I did something wrong here. Let me check out what is wrong. Oh yeah, so this is the problem here. I don't know where this came from, but that shouldn't be there. And then the same for this here. Yep, I know. Give me a sec. Now it should work out. Yeah. And now we have not only those with D velvet and so on, but we also have those that have capital T in the Requiem red and so on. So that's another cool thing to know. So the next thing we are going to look into this introductory part of the Beautiful Soup tutorial is the CSS selector. So if we take this as another chunk, CSS selector, so we can use this select method within Beautiful Soup through CSS to do pretty much what we can do with find and find all, but using the CSS selector. Now, what CSS does, if we go and look over here, it's sorry for that. So, yeah. I reload this, yeah. So what CSS does is essentially shows how we can style certain elements within the HTML. And we can do this in Beautiful Soup as well, because it mimics somehow the ability to select with CSS. But for this we should go to this CSS selectors reference. And if we go there, I'm gonna also link this in the video, under the video, so you can go and check for yourselves over there. So you can go to this reference page and you can see different ways how you can select elements in the HTML. So for the first one, this selector dot class, for instance, with so let's take this example dot intro. So this selects all elements with the class intro. And then for instance with this element example with P, you can select all the paragraphs in the HTML, and then if we check this, for instance, this selects all the paragraphs that are within a div element and so on. So you can check all of these for yourselves. There are really a lot of options here, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's good to just try out a few for yourself and see how they are working out. Some are quite like the ones that I have mentioned. They are quite easy to use and quite self-explanatory, but others are maybe a little bit more complicated. All right, so now if we would like to select all elements with a specific class, so let's say class content, then, oh yeah, this is a good example. So we can do soup select product price. I'm not exactly sure. Sorry. If this class is over there, I should double check. I think it is, but just to make sure, yeah, it's over there. So now it should print all of them. So if we go here, we can see that it printed all product price classes. And now if we are to, maybe I'm going to delete this and we can try another one. What would be there? There was maybe a price color, then class price. That would be soup select class color. So then it would look something like this. So this is how this works. Just a simple example. So now let's take one more example. If we would like to select all H3 elements inside a div, then we would go about it in this way. So H3, I'm gonna just call it H3 div. That would be soup select div H3, exactly what Gemini is suggesting to me. So then if we print that out, I'm gonna comment this. This is how it would look like. So you can do a lot of things with this CSS selector. So I really recommend that you go through all of these and you try different things and you play with it before you start doing your assignments, for instance. But and then again, you can search for links and for prices or for all other information also using select as well. But this is the introduction part, and in the next video we will then go more into details and really go into scraping. We will first go into scraping this whole first page, and then we will see how we can scrape all the pages.